Hey there guys, DMO73 here, bringing you my set review part 3. Today we are talking about water. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. So our ruler for water is Valentina, the ruler of paradise, princess of love, ruler of paradise. So her J activate is pay 2 blue, pretty common for this set, but for also 2 blue you can put a water resonator with total cost 2 or less from your hand into your field. This effect is actually way better than it seems because it actually allows you to bypass Zeeks and other summoning cancels, because this is an ability that puts a creature into the field. So you're not actually casting it as a summon spell. This means that you can get your creatures on the board around Zeeks and stuff like that. So very powerful effect. And considering the fact that a lot of stuff has when this card enters your field rather than an enter effect now, this is a very good effect because it allows her to, especially if you're playing against a control deck, essentially make a lot of their control spells, cancel spells, worthless. Moving on to Valentina's J-Ruler side, so her stats are only 5/5, which at first is really kind of like, ugh, that's not really great. But this card gains +1/+1 for every card in your hand. So that's pretty good. So she can potentially become a 12/12 or more based on when you're drawing cards, but still 5/5 kind of at the base. When this card enters your field, put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your Magic Stone area, so she gets that like no loss of tempo like Faria and Melgus have, which I think is pretty good. And also prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card during your turn. I think that's very cool because of the fact that she, especially when you deal with her regalia, she essentially is completely safe from damage and can be used to manipulate the board very easily during your turn. So things like Duel of Truth and stuff like that, well, it doesn't matter. You can crash her into whatever you want because she's not going to take any damage from it. Very cool. And her God's Art is Chain of Love, pay 4, gain control of target resonator. Just permanently, just steal it. I think that's also very interesting, very unique, and seems to be kind of just a idea for blue now. Like blue is becoming like take control of something. Still has that bounce effect, but also a lot of draw power. But the ability to like take control of stuff is kind of coming into play for blue, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's really awesome. So let's go back up to the top and we'll get started with the rest of the cards here. So first up, Spell Chant Instant, Alice's Castling. Put target resonator you control on the bottom of its owner's main deck. If you do, you may put a resonator with the same total cost from your hand into your field and draw a card. So it's 1 crop blue. This is a tempo card. Something you have is about to die. Okay, well, put it on the bottom of your deck, and then put something back and draw a card. It's a protection kind of thing, and especially since we have a lot of cards right now that have when this card enters the field effect, it's not that bad to lose a resonator if you're putting a resonator that has one of those effects into play. So you can get a lot of use out of this. This is actually, I think, a spell that blue desperately needed, and I'm very excited to see what it gets used for. Then we have Alice's Little Scout, 1 drop, very cute little lady. Soldier Resonator. When this card is put into the graveyard from your field, draw a card. So a simple 2/2 blocker that lets you draw a card. Very cool. But the fact that it's a soldier is also pretty important. Charm of the Princess. Pay 2 blue plus X. Gain control of target resonator with total cost X or less. So again, it's that same kind of effect as Valentina has, but it's just a spell form and you can use it like multiple times. I think that's interesting. However, this is potentially a 6-drop spell if you want to take over something that's pretty important, and that's a hefty price to pay. So don't quite know if that's worth it, but who knows? Maybe we can find some ways to make that happen. Cinderella, the new Cinderella, the Valkyrie of Glass, 2-drop, Resonator Fairy Tale. When this card enters your field, put a glass counter on it. This card gains +600 attack as long as it has a glass counter on it, and whenever this card deals damage, remove a glass counter from it. But for 2 blue, you can put it back to your in your hand. So the fact that it's an 8/8 blocker, or an 800 strength blocker, it's pretty solid. Again, with Valentina's ability to kind of bounce things in, you could bypass your opponent. Say your opponent's about to attack with something. That's a 7/7 or something like that. You pay 2 blue, bring in Cinderella. She gets her counter. You block, you kill their dude. Cinderella loses her counter. You pay 2 blue, put Cinderella back in your hand to use her next turn. So that kind of like sneak attack blocking and shenanigans I think is very, very cool. And it's definitely something that Cinderella will be good for. Now we have the first of the new Gorgon Resonators, Uriel, the Dark Eye of Blindness 3-drop. When this card enters your field, rest target Resonator. It doesn't recover during the recovery phase as long as this card is in a field. So it's that same kind of like Pied Piper, Etna, that kind of stuff. For blue, for 1 blue, target Gorgon gains plus 200 attack until the end of the turn. Play this ability only once per turn, so she can pump up Gorgons. She's a 6/5, so that's pretty interesting. 4C, spell chant, 2 blue, draw 2 cards. Simple as that. You know, more draw power for blue was always good to kind of fit the archetype, and so being able to just go pay 1, you know, get a +1 essentially is always very good. We have Heat Gaze, 2-drop edition, added Resonator control gains. As your opponent plays a spell or ability targeting a Resonator you control, he or she must choose this one to target, as long as this card is added to a Water Resonator, and it gains prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card by spells or abilities. So this is actually pretty cool. So it creates, you put it on a Water Resonator. It becomes a lightning rod for any kind of spells or abilities that target Resonators. So then it also protects them from all the damage from it if it's a Water Resonator. So, you know, you set it up with a creature that you like, you know, you're never going to attack with, so that it can't ever be tapped, so that it can't ever be attacked, of course. But then your opponent just has to lightning rod all of their spells to that creature, but they're not going to do anything. So you essentially cut off your opponent's spells. So that's actually really cool for blue. I think that's really, really nice. Then we have Medusa, the Dead Eye of Petrification, 3-drop Gorgon. When this card blocks or is blocked, put that Resonator on the bottom of its owner's main deck. So, like, the question here is, when does that Resonator moving to the bottom of its owner's main deck happen? Is it before damage? Because if so, that's nuts. You know, that's nuts. The ability to just say, well, okay, negate your entire attack and remove your creature from the board. Ta-da! And for blue, 1 blue, Gorgons you control gain +2/+2 until the end of the turn. You can use it once a turn. So she can become a 3-drop 8/8 that when she blocks or is blocked, she just instantly removes a creature. It's pretty powerful. Next we have the 3-drop Petrifying Gaze. Put target Resonator your opponent controls on the bottom of its owner's main deck, but then your opponent puts the top card of his or her Magic Stone deck into their Magic Stone area. So that's interesting. I almost wish this was just a 2-drop. I mean, it is a removal for blue, which we haven't really had necessarily, like permanent removal, as opposed to like putting something back in their hand. But I wish it was just, I wish it was a 2-drop, because that's like giving your opponent tempo for that 1 stone. But then, yeah, if they have like an 8-drop that you're killing with this, maybe that's worth it. So, I mean, in later end game, this could be very, very good. I just don't quite know how it would be right now. So, we have the 4-drop Sailor of Shangri-La. Resonator Human. When this card enters your field, return target Resonator to its owner's hand. So this is Knight of the Full Moon, Swordsman of the Full Moon, but a human. I mean, it's even the same stats, and it's a common, so pretty cool. Also, it has way more of a void cost than anything else. I mean, Swordsman of the Full Moon's always been good, so this is just as good. Shangri-La, the Paradise on the Ocean. So it's a 2-drop field edition. When this card enters your field, you draw a card, so instantly replaces itself. Water resonators you control gain +1/+1. That's really good. And as long as you have 5 or more cards in your hand, water resonators you control gain another +1/+1. So this essentially becomes a +2/+2 for every single one. But the thing is, it places itself. So that's really cool. So like you can commit multiple of these to the board without really fearing about losing your hand size because they're just going to replace themselves. So that's really cool, I think. Squire of the Ocean Lady, 2-drop 4/4. When this card enters your field, draw a card. So again, blue is getting a lot more draw power from a lot more cards, which I think is desperately what it needed to really kind of stand out as what it's supposed to do. Then we have Sathine, the Evil Eye of Temptation, the 3rd Gorgon, 3-drop. When this card enters your field, the target resonator loses all abilities as long as this card is in the field. So you just play it and just shut off a creature. Like, okay, it seems good. The ability to just be able to turn off all the abilities on a resonator is very, very important. Especially, I mean, think about it. You can turn off Mephistopheles. You can turn off, you know, a Hamlet. You can turn on, like, there's so many things that you can turn off. So it's a very, very good card, I think. And then blue, target Gorgon gains +200 defense until the end of the turn. So Gorgons seem to tend to kind of synergize well with each other and pump each other up when they need to, which I think is pretty cool. Then we have the 1-drop Trader of Shangri-La. Draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your main deck. So if you don't want to play Cheshire Cats but still need to cycle stuff, you know, that's something. I wish it was a 2/2, at least. I mean, as it stands right now, I kind of think the Night of the New Moon is strictly better because it has more defense, but then again, you're putting stuff on your main deck as opposed to discarding it, so who knows. And the last one is Zhan Wu, the Sacred Beast. I'm going to talk about the Alice rulers when I do the multi-civ stuff. I'm going to do Void and multi-civ all together, so we'll get to these, but for right now I want to talk about Zhan Wu, the Sacred Beast. So it's a 3-drop, Resonator for Sacred Beasts, 5/7. When this card enters your field, return target Resonator to its owner's hand if its total cost is less than or equal to the number of 4 Sacred Beasts you control. So this is the guy who says, I'm gonna just remove your creature. Like, he's the 4th Sacred Beast that serves as like spot removal in a sense. Not only that, but whenever this card blocks, prevent the next damage it would be dealt until the end of the turn. So it goes to block, it gets its trigger, it becomes a free block, literally, against any resonator. So unless your opponent has a spell to immediately deal damage to it before the attack resolves, this guy can literally block anything, because he just prevents the damage when he's going to block. That's really good. That's really, really good. So if your opponent's tapped out and they're trying to swing in, oh, well, I've got 4 Zhan Wus. You're not going anywhere. Like, even 1 Zhan Wu is very, very good. I'm very excited about this card. I'm very excited about 4 Sacred Beasts in general, but yeah, so there you have that. So now we're going to go talk about, let's make sure there's something else. Yep. Now we're going to go talk about the Regalia, Valentina's Regalia, Gleipnir, the Red Binding of Fate, Void card, obviously. Whenever your J-Ruler deals battle damage to your opponent or a J-Ruler, draw a card. Tap, target J-Resonator your opponent controls, gains this turn, this card must block. And if your J-Ruler is Valentina, the Princess of Love, Valentina, the Ruler of Paradise, you recover it. Discard another card of Gleipnir, draw a card. So you can recycle, you can recycle your draw cards. This is one of those Regalia where I don't really think you need multiple copies on board, but the fact is this card lets you, similarly to like Little Mermaid of Tragic Love and stuff like that, it allows you to force blocks for resonators of your choice, and even J-Rulers, so you can manipulate your opponent's board state very, very easily with this card, forcing something to block, forcing something to get recovered and then block, forcing a battle with their J-Ruler. Like, I'm just gonna, because a lot of times we have things that like, oh well, I need target attack and hopefully all of his creatures are tapped and stuff like that in order to be able to kill their J-Ruler. Nope, with Gleipnir, just tap it. just tap it and force their J ruler to block you, and then die. So yeah, it's just really good. It's just very, very good. I'm very excited about this card. So I think this is definitely something that is going to make blue a force to be reckoned with blocker manipulation and things like that. So I'm very excited about it. So there you have it, guys. That is blue. That is water. Let me know what you thought about the cards. What decks you think you're going to try to run using blue, whether you think Valentina's great or awful or anything else like that. Go ahead and check out the Kickstarter for the Ruler School playmats. We're just over $1,000 left to raise, guys, so please go and consider helping to pledge that to make that happen. And tomorrow we'll be coming back with the Wind spoilers. So until then, like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, this is DMO73 signing off.